And now, your next keynote is the 2010 winner of the Steve Barton Leadership and Culture Award, Mr. Mario Robles, CEO, MPC Industries, Inc.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out this morning. I will say that at MPC, not only do we wear overalls as we work hard, we wear steel-toe boots and we bring our lunch in metal lunch boxes. So just a hard-working blue-collar company with a skilled and knowledgeable workforce. That works for us. You know, back in the 1950s, we were a grinding company here in Southern California. We were grinding plate and sheet. In the mid-60s, Boeing and Northrop Grumman were looking for an inspection method for their aluminum-clad skins. And one of the options was to polish the flat sheet. You see the blemishes, you buff those out, and that's the method they chose. That was the method that MPC was proposing, and the rest is history. Over the years, we've added two new departments, form parts polishing, as well as the original grinding. So here's some pictures. Our flat sheet polishing, that's a picture of a skin, and that's primarily for the 737 fuselage, and it comes to us from Alaris in Europe. It comes over here to Irvine, we polish it, and it goes over to Wichita. They build a fuselage, and then private rail car. They look like cigars wrapped in PVC. They head on back to Washington, where they build a 37. Our second department is the form parts. We take either raw aluminum or aluminum-clad parts, and we hand polish those. And the third one is the grinding of sheet and plate. Our customers are worldwide, and here's a sample of them, which begs the question, how do you keep your customers satisfied? How do you keep meeting customer expectations? And for MPC, I really needed to step back as the leader and say, what is our vision? What direction are we headed, and what's the pace? And our vision was simple. It's to be a world-class organization, and that really sets the tone. Every single process, every single activity, everything that everyone does must be at a world-class level. And that really just set the expectations for our employees. And then after that, it's, okay, we need to improve. We need continuous improvement, and we need to identify the best method, train, and implement that across all company procedures. So do we go fast? Or maybe do we go faster? Or do we go as fast as we can? So those were the challenges facing me. Those are the questions I was asking myself. I came up with my team. We agreed on the vision to be a world-class organization, and we agreed to drive the Corvette, but maybe go to the Formula One car if we could. So that's the world that we live in. After we kind of cleaned house and we had our direction and we had alignment, we said, okay, what is driving aerospace? Because if we're going to be improving, we got to improve with the customer focus, customer expectation in mind. And I had to simplify it after doing some industry analysis, and the C conferences definitely help. I just narrowed it down and said, these are the forces driving aerospace that really impact MPC, and that is we need to have the shortest lead time across the board in all departments. We need to have the lowest cost, and we need to have the highest quality. And those are the forces that we identified that we could align into our company. And then we looked at, that's driving the industry, what's driving the shop floor? Because, you know, we can't have the front office or myself up developing a vision and strategies and not having trickled out of the shop floor. And the shop floor has its own forces, its own culture sometimes going on. And we noticed a certain phenomenon that whatever got measured got done. And so that became our mantra. What gets measured gets done. So we knew we had to have the correct metrics. And when we looked at the highest quality, we needed to measure that by customer expectations. And so our quality, when we say we want to have the highest quality, it's measured by what our customers expect from us. And the shortest lead time, it's interestingly enough, we were looking at that as jobs. So we would say this job is 2 days, or these 10 sheets will take us 3 days. And we decided to measure our lead time in hours. In other words, take a one-piece flow perspective and say if we were doing one part, how long would that take us? And we started eliminating the waste from that flow. So we measure our lead time in hours, not in days or jobs. And the lowest cost, we were doing Kaizens, we wanted the results, we were putting measures in place, but are they measuring profit? If we do a Kaizen and we say we reduced manpower by 40%, but there's still the same 8 guys still working 10 hours a day, did we really reduce manpower? So we started measuring our Kaizens through profit. So when we say a Kaizen event or an improvement project lowered our cost, it should be hitting the bottom line, and we should be able to quantify that. So those 3 perspectives with these 3 forces really were huge in driving our movement. Here's our measurable results. Our on-time delivery had slipped a little bit because our grinding department was growing 30% for 2 years in a row, and we could just not keep up. So it was actually close to 99, and it went down to 92, and we really started attacking the grinding department. We ran a couple Kaizens, and we also decided to expand and invest, and so we purchased 2 additional grinders. So currently, this is May to May. We're at 96% on-time delivery. Our lead time were kind of hard to measure with flat sheet and form parts because we deliver those to a finished goods inventory at our place, and then our customer calls and says, send me 10 of these or send these 2 orders. But for our grinding department, we really wanted to have a 5 to 7 days lead time. You send us a plate or a sheet, and we'll deliver it to you within 5 to 7 days. But because we got the additional grinders, now we're able to offer a 48-hour expedite service. So if you're running late or you're behind or you need a quick turnaround, you send it to MPC, we'll give it back to you in 48 hours. That is a huge competitive advantage. Our quality, we don't run 100 pieces. We're a service organization. We did have some escapes in our grinding department. We had to normalize the number to 1 million parts. So if we would have ran 1 million parts last year, we would have had over close to 5,000 defects. Now, normalized to 1 million parts, we're at 255. And it's not the number that concerns me because I know we're normalizing it to 1 million parts, which we're not running, but it's the improvement that we had. And I think if we continue to improve, I would expect that 255 to go way down, possibly under 25 by next year. Our cost, I was looking at month-over-month cost, and that's how I was measuring myself, and that's how I needed to measure the company during this downturn. And we've seen a 24% decrease in cost as an ongoing average per month. Our sales per employee, interestingly enough, have increased 24%. So it was nice to see that correlation. I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't expecting it, but there's a correlation there. Our output in our flat sheet has increased 55%. As you know, the 3.7 line, we're polishing the skins for the 3.7. It's 31 a month, going to 35, and then scheduled to go to 38, 40, or 42. And we wanted to hit 40 as soon as we can. And we did several Kaizens in that area, and we used the 5M approach. We look at our machinery, our manpower, our methods, our materials, and our metrics. And we are at about 38 to 39 sheets a month. That's what we can hit. And the expectation is 35 sheets to supply 35 plays a month by January. And our changeover in our grinding department, it was averaging over 50 minutes, and we got it down to under 25 minutes. All the jobs are custom. We have to clean the table, put a new gasket, measure the size of the sheet coming up. And so we had that reduction. So great. We've had great results. We've had great Kaizen events. We've had some great employee participation. We have a growing company culture that has improvement and continuous improvement built in. And I'm really, really happy with my leadership team and our employees as we continue forward with our journey. So how did we do it? Well, in flat sheet, after multiple Kaizen events, we were trying to find the right measures. And believe me, we tried 3 or 4 different measures. We tried looking at sheets, how many sheets per day, or how about orders, how many orders per week. And at the end, this is what these 2 measures are really the ones that measure the improvement and hit the bottom line, and that's square feet polished per hour, and we wanted that trend to go up. And just off the top of my head, I think last year we were at 250 square feet per hour, and right now, this month, we're at over 450 square feet per hour with less people. So we're getting more out with less people. We were working 10-hour Saturdays. We no longer work Saturdays. So here's the story. Our square feet polished per hour goes up. Our labor that we use to get that output goes down. You should see some profit improvement. And I just showed you earlier that our sales per employee are going up and our costs are going down. So our profit is going up. The owner and the board love to hear me say that. Department 2, what did we do there? For example, the part on the far right is 1 man, 10 hours. So we didn't know how many hours it was. We were just giving the employees the part, and they were putting on a mold, and they were hand polishing. And so the key to this department is we needed to have standardized work time for each part. And I don't know, I would say some employees were taking 14 hours to polish that part, some were taking 9, and all the parts have different hours. But now each part comes with a standardized time, and our supervisors manage that very strictly. And so if you're given a part, you say, here's the part, it's 5 hours. Here's this part, it's 8 hours. Here's this part, it's 10 hours. We just saw an immediately 15%, just by implementing that after the first month, 15% decrease in our labor costs. And so with this department, it was really standardized work attached to each part and then holding employees accountable to that. And in grinding, like I said, we had 2 years of 30% sales increase, and we added 2 additional grinders. We had 1 grinder at 68 width capacity. We got a second grinder at 68 width, and the third grinder, though, has a width capacity of up to 80 inches. So if you have a sheet or a plate with an 80-inch width, send it to MPC. We'll take care of it for you. Okay, so how do you sell certification and lean activity to your employees? Well, I had to sell it to myself first. I really needed to be able to look at my leadership team and say, this is what we're going to do and why. And at the end of the day, the reason why we have the certifications is we're in the pursuit of world-class management procedures and business practices. And that's how we view ISO and our AS certifications. You can see it as a tool, or you can see it as a task. And we saw it as a tool, and it was our tool to find the best method in everything that we do and pursue the achievement of world-class procedures. And everyone's engaged with those certification, everyone's bought in, and it's a great program for us. And in terms of lean and our lean enterprise system with C, that's the pursuit of the highest quality, the lowest cost, and the shortest lead time. And we see that as a tool as well. That's our story. That's my story. I can look at the owner and the board in the eye. I can look at the employees in the eye. It makes sense. It's practical, and it works for us. I got stuck here. I just want to say on a personal note, I really value our association and membership here with C. Just the dialogue and debate, the discussion, the quality of leaders that you meet here, it has really helped me fine-tune my industry analysis, my company analysis, and kind of how I position MPC and how I see MPC, because you really have world-class leaders that are associated with C, and you can have any discussion on numerous topics at a conference or outside of the conference, and people are willing to come down and visit you, and they let you go visit their facilities, and you really can't put a price on that. And so that collaboration, that partnership is really key to our improvement journey. And I just wanted to say, for those of you who aren't joining or who are thinking about joining, that scenario that I just described is one of the things that you would get if you join C. And on a personal note, you can call me or email me anytime, and you can come by and talk to me or meet with me to our facility, and I would do the same and visit your facility as well. Any questions?
With the acquisition of your past capital expenditures and what you're doing in the future, what you're proposing, do you see yourself enlarging your facility or needing to move to a larger facility? And if not, with your growth, at what point do you think you would need to do that?
That's a great question. A guideline that I would use is when we're at 80% of our capacity, I have to consider expansion or capital investment. That's just the rule I've used, whether it's another building or machinery and equipment. What I'm looking at further, though, is my second department, my form parts department, is labor intensive. And so do I grow that with labor? If that continues to grow, do I bring on 6 to 8 more employees, or do I invest in automation? And that's where I'm at. I think in the fall, the volume's going to hit to where I may be able to justify a good return on investment for automation and robotics. And so I'll take a look at that. But the way I see the investment is automation is I might be able to gain some sophistication, gain some knowledge and insight of automation and robotics, and leverage that into future niches or future markets 2, 5, 8 years from now. So so the guidelines would be at 80% of capacity. I'm going to consider expansion. And if I use automation or robotics, it would be to grow the company, not necessarily to shrink the employee workforce. I would love to keep all 3 departments in one building, because that really throttles up your improvement program. When I have all 3 departments in one building now, when we were doing success, cleaning and organizing in one department, all the rest of the departments were looking and they were wondering, and at the end of the week when we had everything striped and we had new bins in there and it was shining, the other departments started asking, when's our turn? And I wasn't expecting that. And so I love having all the departments in one building. Everybody sees the improvement, and they kind of try to outdo each other, and it's a great dynamic I wasn't expecting, but it's a great result that we've been having with that.
On the section of how you did it, you're explaining you did it with less people. What happened to the people?
We needed more people in other departments, and so we moved them to the other departments. So yeah, that's a key question. If you do a Kaizen event and you lay off people, it's a horrible message. If you lay off people, there's more opportunities, and the company's growing, then it's a great story. I will say that I met with the board. Our fiscal year ends in September. I met with the board last fall, and we agreed on some stretch goals for sales and some stretch goals for profit. After 2 quarters, we are exceeding the sales and just slightly exceeding the profit. These are stretch goals, and this is without hiring any new. Well, actually, we did hire new employees for that labor-intensive project because it's hitting that volume threshold. But I was able to actually cover it, and it didn't impact profit. Sometimes you hire employees and your labor costs go up and it hits the bottom line. In this case, I guess we had made such large gains that we brought in new employees and it didn't hit the bottom line. My intent is not to let go of any employees. If I bring automation robotics, that's going to become a key question, because that department has 16 employees. I probably need 4. So I'm hoping the other departments are growing and I'm able to move that to move it over there.
I'd like to congratulate you and your team first for winning the Leadership and Culture Award. Those of us that are in the leadership positions in NC and the SAC Council realize the importance of leadership and culture and sustaining operational excellence. My question for you is, there were some comments made yesterday in the SAC meeting about the difficulty of getting the leadership and culture to stick or take hold within the organization. Some leaders said that they started with the top and had trouble with the middle. Some say they started with grassroots and tried to work it towards the top. How did it work for your company? And then I have a follow-up question.
Well, that's a good question. There's 50 employees at MPC, and I quickly realized that at the employee meetings, everyone was relying on me to answer all the questions and deploy the strategy and talk about the next goals. And so over the last 18 months, I have been working to position my supervisors and managers as authority figures in the company. So where we're at now is I meet with the employees once a quarter. My managers meet with the employees in their respective departments once a month. The supervisors meet with their employees once a week, and the lead man meets with their employees daily. And obviously everybody's got the daily meetings are let's close out yesterday, this is the goals for today, this is the hours we're gonna work. So if I had to choose one thing, that was it, and that's deploying the authority and responsibility to the lower levels. And the lead man obviously have employees that they're relying on, so employee recognition, employee award, and boy, does an envelope with $25 in it go a long way. So it's just cash rewards. That if I had to pick one dynamic, that would be it. And it was difficult because my manager said they had a meeting and the employees didn't believe what they were saying because it wasn't coming from Mario. And that was the key for me when I went, okay, I got to deploy the authority.
Thank you. And actually, you almost answered my complete second question, which is leadership communication is a critical process within the leadership and culture part of the organization. How do you get the bottom of your organization engaged? It's easy to engage the people at the top of the organization, but getting that to go all the way to the bottom. Besides the $25, how do you know that your operators out on the floor actually get what's being transpired throughout the entire organization?
You know, when I have my overalls and steel-toe boots on, I'm just joking, but I actually walk the floor and go directly to the operators and talk to them. I know my operators by name. I can pat them on the back. I can ask them about how's the machine running. I understand you guys are doing a project, and we'll have that dialogue. So I think when you have an employee having a dialogue with the CEO on a project that's near and dear and day-to-day to them in their department, in their station, that goes a long way. So I put that onus on me to walk the floor, talk to the employees, and know the employees. I'll just close with this. I had an employee who was a huge Angel fan, and he used to take his son up to the nosebleed seats, and he gets last-minute games. He was up high. And I ended up with some tickets, third row, right behind the dugout. I knew exactly who to go. I went, I gave him the tickets. The next day I showed up, he said, Mario, my son was almost in tears. He had never been so close to the players, so close to the coaches. And we were right behind the batter's box. And every time my son got excited, he goes, oh my God, here's this so-and-so. He goes, all I could think was, Mario's a good guy. And if you're a CEO and your employees are saying Mario's a good guy, you got to be doing something right.
Thank you very much.